welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Multiplayer, the podcast by gamers for gamers. I am your host, Zach Matscanis, alongside the lover boy himself, Javier Ortiz.
Lover boy. What's up?
Yo, yo, yo. And of course, we got the guitar hero of time, Joseph Rue.
Oh, nice. I like that.
You like that?
I thought that was going to Kahan, but
what? Yeah, like
I thought it was pretty clever.
I like
pretty
it.
cool sounding.
I'll take it. I mean,
and of course, shut up, Joe.
Yeah.
We're getting to this. And of course, we have Mr. I can only record at night. He doesn't even get a name this week.
Yeah, it's okay.
No name for you. Kahan Damavandi.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
It's going pretty well for this late evening, very, very late evening show we got going here. It's so late.
should be in bed.
I know. It's bedtime. 5:40 at night. Bedtime. And of course, remember everybody, Multiplayer It is all over the place, in your ears and in your face. We are on podcast services everywhere, so pick your favorite there. But also check out our YouTube page at youtube.com/multiplayer, where you could see our ugly mugs every single Wednesday talking about silly things with our silly faces. Yeah.
Totally.
It's time to do things. You ready to talk about games, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on, it's the evening, guys. It's time to party. Woo!
Yeah. Good show.
Cool. All right, let's just jump right into things. So,
Fuck.
the Game Awards, they came, they went, they happened, and Last of Us Part 2 conquered.
Yeah, really.
Conquered everything. Yeah, so basically a few days ago, from when we are recording this, the game can't speak because it is the evening. The Game Awards happened, and there were some winners, there were some losers, and I think I can say without spoiling it that The Last of Us Part 2 is kind of the clear winner out of the bunch. But basically, let me just kind of go down the list of different awards here. Just kind of give you a lay of the land as far as, who won what. And then I figure we can kind of talk about everything a little bit. And, if anybody has any thoughts and opinions about like, oh, this thing should have won or blah, blah, blah. Just have a little chit chat. So Game of the Year. Well, let's just start from the top and we'll kind of work our way down. Game of the Year, obviously Last of Us Part 2. Best Game Direction, The Last of Us Part 2. Best Narrative, The Last of Us Part 2. Best Art Direction, Ghost of Tsushima. Best Score, Final Fantasy VII Remake. Best Audio Design, The Last of Us Part 2. Best Performance, Laura Bailey, because she crushed it, as Abby, The Last of Us Part 2. Games for Impact, Tell Me Why. Best Ongoing Game, No Man's Sky. Best Indie Game, Hades. Let's see if there's any other like big ones here.
Family Game, Animal Crossing.
Yeah. Animal Crossing got Best Family Game. Yeah, well
Family
deserved.
Game.
Oh, Last of Us 2 didn't win that? Damn.
Yeah, what is the family game category? That's just as a
Best
side.
Nintendo game.
Yeah.
I would say Best Family Game is basically, any game that's like rated E for everyone.
Okay.
I
Nintendo
would say
games.
is kind of that.
Yeah.
Like Hades.
Yeah.
What is it? Hades. The Last of Us 2 Ghost of Tsushima. Like,
Gotcha.
stiff competition this year.
That's where you're gonna get like your Mario Karts and your
Fall Guys.
Smash
your
Brothers
Fall
and,
Guys. Yeah.
Mario Party.
Bas-
Yeah.
Just basically
Yeah.
games kind of for everybody, There's not really a restriction no matter who you are.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that.
So best debut game. I meant to look this up and I did not. But Phasmophobia. I don't know what that game is, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know
So
either.
I'm gonna have to check it out after this just to see what the heck that is. But best mobile game, Among Us, which I haven't fiddled with that game. I've heard things.
Yeah, I played it.
maybe we'll get to you on that in a sec. Best community support, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. I think that's well deserved. They've been doing pretty well since launch. Best VR game, Half-Life Alyx. Innovation and accessibility, The Last of Us Part 2. I think that's well deserved. Best action game, Hades. Best action adventure game, Last of Us Part 2. Best RPG, Final Fantasy VII. Best fighting game, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate. We already talked about best family game, best sim, Flight Sim, Microsoft Flight Sim. Best sports or racing game, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Best multiplayer game, Among Us. And then we get into like esports and all this. And, that's basically just League of Legends just kind of crushing it on that side of things for the most part. Okay, so we kind of gone through the gist of everything. Obviously, The Last of Us Part 2 just like raking in a bunch of awards here. So I just kind of want to open it up to the room. I don't know if anybody wants to kind of kick us off here with like thoughts, impressions. Feel like anybody was snubbed in this. I'm just gonna open it up to the floor.
Yeah, so fuck that.
You didn't even play the game, but go on.
I genuinely think Last of Us 2 was a good game, like a great game.
Did you play it?
But yeah, I actually
don't
played
spoil
it
anything yet.
bit.
I just started it, so.
So the ending scene, wait, what, Joe?
Everyone dies.
Right before the credits finished.
I can't believe Joel was actually Batman.
Yeah. After Harley Quinn came out. Oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. Never mind. Anyways,
what's so bullshit about it?
No, nothing bullshit about the game. Except I just thought they would choose not a sequel to win, because Ghost of Tsushima was like a really good game and it was really well done for like an original IP with an original like story that came out of nowhere. I didn't think it was. I mean, I knew it was being released. It wasn't like, oh, we have a game. But I just thought like it was kind of weird that they gave it to a sequel, not even like an original. Like, what? We have Final Fantasy VII, like a remake of a sequel.
I kind of get that.
Last of Us
Why
2.
would they give best RPG to Final Fantasy VII? That the game is already like
it's like
a game.
And they won like what? They won a score.
They
They won a score award like for music. Like, did they redo all of the sound in the game, or is it like the same songs?
Yeah, that's also. Like,
is it like a new? Are they new songs though?
For all like the RPGs out there trying to.
But like, do you guys know?
It is they redid like the entire score.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah,
I just thought
it's basically like a new game.
I thought they remastered the songs.
It?
And they just like,
oh my god.
But it's still probably like a turn-based RPG,
got
right?
stabbed
Like
at
the whole
Houses.
style is probably still the same, is it not? Like the whole turn-based RPG.
I mean, they really basically there's a turn-based. You can kind of swap back and forth from turn-based to kind of more of an action RPG in that game. So
that's actually kind of cool. Then.
Yeah.
If that's
Okay,
actually the case, I might take that back. I
Well,
thought it was
yeah.
like literally like the same remake, just maybe like better graphics and everything.
no, yeah, because most Oh, you got cut off for a second.
It's definitely oh, sorry. So yeah, it definitely it's not like a 1-to-1 remake. It's kind of like how like RE2 and RE3 were kind of remade, where it's like built from the ground up with kind of the original concept in mind, but really just like building that world out and kind of redoing all the assets and
Gotcha.
Changing things around in the game and in the world. And in fact, it's like they Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably going to be, if I had to guess, it's probably going to be like a 3-part series. Like they didn't even do like a 1-to-1 story remake. They just did like a part 1.
Oh, like in detail, basically, like of the story.
So it is, in all fair assumption, like a brand new game, completely different from the original.
Okay, that's good then. Yeah, some people just do like lazy remasters where they just up-res the textures. That's why I thought it was.
Me and Cam were ready to tear it apart, but you.
Yeah, we're like, Joe, you ready? Let's get it.
Okay, well deserved.
But anyway,
Among Us got best multiplayer game. I think that I played it like
that
once.
game came out in 2018. It came out in 2018. Why did it win the award this year? Is it just because it's popular now all of a sudden? I don't understand.
Is that true? It came out 2018?
Initial release date was 2018. It's been so like under the radar. No one knew about it until just, or is it like the music awards where like it doesn't get like popular until like the next year and they just push it to that category for the next year? Because it's technically an older game.
That's strange. Yeah, it's supposed to only count if it's released like the year of the award.
Yeah, because it's like 2 years ago.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Was that just for PC or something?
It just says initial release date was June 15, 2018. And I think that's for PC because the mobile game's the newer version, right? The newer version's a mobile game. So
yeah, they must have given the award to like
the mobile version
of the game.
That's kind of strange. It's like the same thing, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of strange. That would be like
giving a port game a trophy.
Like yeah, it's like that'd be like giving like Overwatch for Switch like best multiplayer game or something.
Or like
that,
Doom Eternal. Yeah, Doom Eternal on the Switch. Like, come on, guys, this year we can vote for it again. But yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely kind of strange. I actually didn't realize that. But that's interesting.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's supposed to just be.
Yeah.
What do I think, just in general?
Yeah.
So I probably have a bias here because man, The Last of Us is just so good. That game is like. I mean, there are people out there that I think are kind of butthurt by some of the story beats of that game, but I think that game is damn near perfect other than the first kind of. There's a part in that game where you like roll into Seattle and it's like a open world.
Joe,
sort of
have you played that part, Joe?
I'm in Seattle, so
okay.
I'm at the part where I'm at Seattle.
So basically, while you're in Seattle, I think that's the least interesting part of the game. It's like, it's just like kind of hurry up and get to
not Seattle,
the point of this. Yeah, and so, it's beautiful there, but I think it kind of drops the ball on pacing with it, just like letting the world sort of open up.
Gotcha.
But once you kind of get past that, I think that game becomes so freaking good in just about every way. Like it's insane how good that game is. I mean,
dude, I love the first one, so I'm excited.
Yeah, and we'll get to like I have a whole thing I want to talk about with like Cyberpunk later, but I look at a game like The Last of Us Part 2 and the further you get into that game, the more just like that game blew my mind. Like how do I want to say this? Like
don't say
it. Just the scope of that game and like the attention to detail. I mean, the writing, the acting, I think visually that game is stunning. I think the gameplay is incredible. I have like nothing bad to say about that game other than, like I said, the pacing in that Seattle area. But it's so personally, I think kind of everything that it won at the Game Awards, I think is like very well deserved for that team. I think they absolutely crushed it. Like, especially things like the audio design. I think, Joe, if you're not doing it, for the love of God, play that game with headphones on, like really good headphones.
Oh my God,
because
dude, I like did for like the first bit, it was too much. I was like, this game is too freaky because I play it like at night too, and it's just like terrifying.
Boo, Joe.
Put your damn headphones on, because like the further you get in that game, like you start to get in the areas where it's like it's raining. You could just like hear water just like dropping on trees and the ground. It's like, the sound work is absolutely insane. And then just, and things like, a lot of people have kind of given Naughty Dog props for this, but like innovation and accessibility, they also won. And it's insane. Like if you go into the settings of that game, there's so much you can change to make the game accessible for like just about anybody. It's pretty wild, how you can just kind of remap everything in that game. You can even tweak things like, the AI's intelligence. You can tweak I mean, everything. It's
so like intelligence
amazing.
as in like if they see a body or something, if like they'll react to it or not, or like
yeah, or like how aggressive that they are
that's
to you. But then you could just like remap your controller. You can change things to be like very like easy for people that are colorblind. There's all sorts of like really cool little things they've added to that game. So I definitely
What about
wanna
if you're
congratulate
blind?
Naughty Dog. Well, I guess get a seeing eye dog that's really good at
Damn, not that
playing video
accessible
games.
now. Damn, roasted.
But yeah, so I mean, I think I think The Last of Us kind of deserved a lot of the praise it got. That's my personal opinion. Hav, I know you've kind of played The Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, and some other games. Like, what do you kind of think about all this?
I agree that Last of Us Part 2, everything that it won, I have no issues with. Especially Laura Bailey. I thought she was really, really good. Like,
is she like in anything else? It was just like her debut.
Oh yeah, yeah. She's in. Lots
She's
of
in
stuff.
everything.
Yeah, she's a really popular voice actress. She's in a lot of different things.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I thought she was. I mean, like, and I love voice actors. Like, I'm a big voice acting fanatic. Probably because like I've always loved like animation and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've always been a fan of her, and like her in that game, like, man, she was just really good, just hands down. But I while I have no issues with that, I agree with Kayhan. Like, I would have loved to have seen Ghost of Tsushima one, like an original IP.
Sure.
Especially off the heels of like, this is kind of unrelated, but like off the heels of last year's Oscars where Parasite won, and that's a Korean movie. I thought it'd been really cool if like this super Japanese game would win the Game Awards, and not even by a Japanese like company,
By us.
Sucker. It's
By
a
a
Sucker
Western
Punch company, and like
yeah.
it's so good, and it's not necessarily that like. It doesn't exactly follow like a specific time period where it's like, oh, it's feudal Japan, but it's not dedicated to one time period. It's kind of like a representation of like history of Japan in general, where they have like, different weapons and like Mongols and all that stuff. Like all that affects like different time periods in Japanese history. So while it may not like pertain to like, this was Japan in 1100, it's just kind of a beautiful culmination of like the history of Japan, and like I'm glad it won the art direction, because I do think like it is like once you get like different armor and you see all the characters that you interact with and like what stuff looks like when it's upgraded, because the armor changes when you upgrade it. It's really just gorgeous. Like everything you put on and the way you can like interchange your outfits and everything, it's so cool. Like everything, and like the what are they called? The sheath that your sword goes in. Like there are a bunch of different kinds, and you can have it match your armor. You can change colors. It's all really, really beautifully done. And it's also it's just a super fun game, and like something that I'm not necessarily used to. Like it's a period piece, right? Like so it's like, there's nothing really like fantasy about it. Like they tell like legends like in the games, like, oh, this is the legend of this demon's armor, and and so they tell you stories about like fantasy, but none of it's actually supernatural. Like none of it, you don't fight demons or ghosts, and like they're not real. It's just the stories behind it. So yeah, I think I am kind of bummed out that like that didn't win. But it's more about like I guess not necessarily, I don't want to say like for diversity's sake, but like I just think it would have been pretty cool if like off the heels of a Korean movie winning best film, that this super Japanesey game would win best game. Because I think it's totally deserved. And probably if it were a different year, like, if it were last year, probably would have won, but I totally understand Last of Us 2 winning, because that game is also just it's incredible.
Was there it was a best story and best game, right? There was 2 categories, like for best story.
Yeah, you get best overall game and then best narrative.
Yeah, because I would have minded if one of those, that would have been good if one of those went.
Best story. What's the difference?
Wait, what?
No. It's
best
just
game, best
narrative.
story.
Okay.
There's like game of the year, best game,
Yeah,
and
best
then
game,
best
best story.
narrative.
Yeah, because I think honestly, best story should have gone to Ghost, It should have just gone to Ghosts because
Call of Duty Ghosts.
Yeah. Oh God, not that. No, it's just like it's
I
once
can
you
understand
because the same characters. It's like
because
because Ghost of Tsushima's never gonna win on their sequel games. You know, like best story. Because like once you tell a story with these characters, yeah, there's different events that can happen, but like they're the same characters. It's just like a different event that's happened, which I get. It's like a different story, but I feel like Game of the Year should have been Last of Us 2. That's fine, but like the story, Ghost of Tsushima's an original IP, original story about something we haven't had in mainstream gaming in like I don't know if ever on this scale. And I feel like they rewarded a sequel with the characters we were already familiar with in a different like event in their life, which is cool and all, but it's like, I mean, if you can't get an original IP to win a story now, it's like, you know, it's going to be kind of hard from here on in, because now every developer is thinking like, oh wait, a sequel can win a game. Now we don't have to try and make a new IP because Last of Us 2 just won their sequel over an original IP, you know, and like a clean sweep almost. Like, so now no one's going to like think like if they're weighing the options of trying a new IP and competing against a big company, now they're going to be like, well, they just won with a sequel. Why would we risk a new IP when we know they can clean sweep with a sequel? Like, I just feel like because Sucker Punch isn't going to get another chance to win Game of the Year. Like, their sequel's not going to be as good because it's not new anymore. It's not going to be that, like, oh, new Samurai game? Yeah, you just got that last year. Like, what else, you know?
Well, you say that, but it's, you know, it's one of those things where most of the time, you know, like movies are kind of different where it's like typically like a sequel, unless it's Terminator 2. Typically a sequel is never as good as the first, but a lot of times with video games, your second game is typically better than your first game because now that you've built the world, now you can like play in it, you know? Or it's like Uncharted 2 was way better than Uncharted 1. You know, where it's like they've built the world, they've built the characters. All right,
that is very true.
What can we like now? We can like dial it in, like all the things they wanted to put in the first game that they couldn't because of like, you know, either technical restraints, budget restraints, time restraints, all that. Now they're gonna have that second chance where it's like, you know, Ghost won a few awards. I'm pretty sure it sold well. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but you know, obviously well received and. You know, a lot of, you know, just the public, I think has a great opinion overall on it. So I would be shocked if Sucker Punch did something besides Ghost of Tsushima 2. And so with that second game, they're going to be able to dial in all those things they wanted to do. And, you know, maybe it's a new main character or something, or I
hope they make that game more challenging for the sequel. It's like
it'd be nice.
That game is like super fun, and I love the combat. But like once you
get too powerful,
once you're in the flow of combat, oh my god, you're just unstoppable. Like
you're a ghost. You become you do become the ghost where it is you do. God. But then it's like you don't want to start all over with no armor or weapons. That's the problem.
Yeah, it's like once you power up that sword, oh my god, you just like you're just unstoppable. And like your different stances, you can just counter anything. But it's cool though. Like the mechanic of different sword stances is pretty awesome, and having it be effective against different enemies, so you're always swapping. But anyway, so yeah, I do love that game. I also love Last of Us Part 2, so they're both co-winners to me. They're both number one in my book.
At the end of the day, though, I gotta say, you know, obviously Last of Us Part 2, a Sony game, Ghost of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, you know, Sony game. Final Fantasy VII, it's technically on Xbox as well, but you know, I feel like most people see that as like a Sony game.
Yeah.
You know,
Microsoft sucks right now, man. They're losing.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's interesting because it's just, you know, Sony just crushing it with those first parties, you know.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll change with all those developers they bought. Hopefully that'll change.
We need competition. That's good for us. We need that.
Yeah. Exactly. Competition's always great. And that actually brings me kind of a nice segue into our next topic, sort of talking about some of the trailers that, you know, we saw at the Game Awards. And, you know, I was actually really surprised how many games were like revealed or had like kind of their first big trailer at the Game Awards this year. I mean, there's a lot.
Yeah.
You know, just a few highlights that I wrote down. You know, the Smash Brothers, announcement. Several. The Back for Blood, Arc 2, Returnal, Mass Effect.
Mass Effect,
yeah.
Can't wait.
Andromeda 2.
I'm actually, so I didn't play Andromeda yet. I literally just downloaded it like 2 days ago because it's on sale for like under $10 on the PSN store.
Why.
So you wonder why I downloaded it before the Mass Effect trailer? I don't know, dude. Because I
wonder why it's on discount. I'm saying.
Oh, I mean, I don't know. That's the thing. Like, I heard bad things when it came out, but I'm hoping like after. I think it's been 2 years now since that game came out. Now, if I download it, it'll be good. You know what I mean? So, plus, it was only $9 on the PSN. So I was like, that's all right. I'll do that because I love Mass Effect. Can't wait for a new game in the series.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's worth $9.
Yeah.
Since we're already talking about Mass Effect, new Mass Effect. Obviously, I think everybody knew it was kind of coming, but
For sure.
obviously this is we got a trailer, our first trailer, and apparently a bunch of the kind of OG Mass Effect team is back and working on this. So
nice.
pretty
Bring
exciting.
back that old BioWare team, man. Like that original trilogy is so good.
Good team. Yeah,
It's so good.
For sure. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited about a new Mass Effect. I was a huge fan of Mass Effect 2. I think that game is, awesome, and definitely on that. We'll kind of get to this a little later too, but I think that's on that, kind of open-ish world, RPG kind of game. I think that's
an
like
open world.
Yeah, well, it's like an open galaxy. You kind of fly around and do different things, and
It's definitely an open galaxy.
it's not like a sandbox game, but I would say it's like a pretty open world as far as like being able to like go different places and do different things.
Yeah. I suppose.
So I guess open world RPGs are like it's kind of a broad brush. It's a broad statement for like a genre of game. It's like so many things could land under that. But anyways, one thing with this trailer that kind of bugs me, and this actually, I'll kind of say this as well. So a new Perfect Dark game was announced, which we can get into that in a second. But obviously, it's with these reveal trailers. Something that always just drives me crazy is, can everybody get on the same page and just be like, yo, stop showing just straight up CG trailers, like
theatrical
They
trailers.
will never stop
it's like
doing that.
I've just I'm tired of them. It's like, if you don't have gameplay to show me, I don't want to see your stupid game. It's man, it just drives me crazy. It's like, I just want to see the gameplay trailer, because if I can't see gameplay, I don't know what your game is, and I don't care. And there were like things like Mass Effect. You kind of have an idea already in your head what it probably is. But there were like several games that were announced that have like a CG trailer where it's like, I don't know what your game is. I have no idea what your game is supposed to be. Like the new Perfect Dark game, I don't know. That could be a freaking top-down, like
Metal Gear
shoot 'em up
Solid
game.
1.
It's like that could be like it could be anything. It's
a card game, actually.
Yeah, it could be like a match 3 mobile game. It's like, it's you just have no idea. It's like, I don't even know like what perspective that Perfect Dark game is supposed to be in. Is that a first person shooter again? Is that a third person shooter? It's like, I have no idea. It's like,
it's a teaser.
It's just
bro.
annoying.
They're teasers.
Yeah, but I don't.
What are
need
they
to be
teasing?
teased.
They're teasing CGI. Like, our render engine's so good.
They're just
Look
they're
at
just
this.
teasing like, here's the project we're working on.
But what is it?
Like, even if it was 5 seconds of like, a first person perspective and Joanna Dark shooting somebody in the face, like, okay, that gives me at least a glimpse of like, what this game could possibly be, FPS game that looks real pretty. So there were so many this time around at the Game Awards here, and obviously I think COVID has like affected timelines for everybody, but they wanted to announce something, so I guess I get that to a point. But at the same time, I just don't want to see a CG trailer anymore. It's like, Arc 2 is kind of the same way. It's like, I don't care if Vin Diesel is in this game. It's like, show me some gameplay. Like, I don't care. I don't care about CG Vin Diesel with no shirt.
Family.
Show
Maybe
me.
you should.
Show me the gameplay. Show me the Carfax. Like, I don't care.
Gameplay's not ready yet, dude. You understand that? It's all marketing.
Just hold off.
They're never gonna stop doing that. It's like Cyberpunk. When I saw the Cyberpunk trailer, I'm like, oh, cool gameplay. For the first big trailer with Keanu Reeves reveal, and it was just like the CGI trailer. That's when I was like, oh, I stopped watching it. And I was like, this isn't the game. And like, lo and behold, it wasn't the game. Like all these trailers, it's like lies. It's like 8K ultra high res like textures with like dynamic depth of field, and the game is like barely runs at 1080p at 60 on a good day.
I heard that Cyberpunk looks good on the PC.
No, it does. I plan it. It's good
on a high end PC. So,
Yeah.
We'll get to that. That. But anyways, was anybody a Perfect Dark fan back in the day?
I never played it.
Never played it.
Yeah. So that was basically like a rare game. Yeah. It's I never played the 360 game that I heard was kind of bad, but I played the original Perfect Dark in 64 back in the day when Rare was still making it, and that was basically their follow up to GoldenEye, and I just did not like it. I thought it was kind of it was weird. It was like, I thought it was way more like empty and bare bones feeling than GoldenEye, and it just never felt as good. So that was kind of my time with it. But, obviously, once Xbox acquired Rare, they acquired the Perfect Dark franchise, and now it seems like it's, the initiative has it, and they're just kind of doing a total remake of this series that, is basically about a spy with like some sci-fi elements. It used to be a first-person shooter. Who knows if it will be again? I have a feeling they're gonna want to try and go like the third-person shooter route to compete with things like The Last of Us. Like they need that like AAA like third-person video game to compete with Sony.
Right.
So if I had to put my money on it, I have a feeling they're just totally taking this series and starting from scratch and just using the name and the character of Joanna Dark and switching to the third person perspective and, kind of story driven, very, very much The Last of Us, but in a very different kind of world, and kind of a more sneaky spy and shooty in the face kind of world. But anyway, so a couple of the things that I wanted to just touch on, obviously, we've already mentioned it, but the new character in Smash Brothers, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, so, Sephiroth is coming to Smash, which is, pretty interesting. Another sword character, but it seems like he plays a little differently. Sounds cool to me. I'm down for it.
Yeah, Sephiroth's badass. I love that shot of him holding Mario, where it looks like he got stabbed in the chest.
I did love that trailer.
It's amazing. Like I saw that and I was like, oh my god, look at the world we live in, where we have Sephiroth fighting Mario.
Right. Yeah, that's all right.
Like I never thought. I've never thought of that in my life. Like it never crossed my head. It was like, Sephiroth fighting Mario, that'll happen someday. And now
so
it is.
So wild.
Yeah.
And I mean, just trailer.
Yeah, it's all of you are probably too young for this, but back in the day there was this PC fighting game called Mugen, and it was basically like a game. It was like a fighting game kind of built by just people out there, the audience. It was just kind of like a homebrewed game where like people.
I played that. I played it.
Yeah, so you'd either like make assets or people would like rip, assets from like different games to put it in here, and you almost had to like custom build this like fighter game where it's like you could have Mega Man and Mario fighting, Apocalypse from, X-Men and who's just a random character, Goku, and
Nice.
it was just like it was a super fun game where you like if you could get it to work anyways. It kind of took a lot of trial and error, but once you got that working, it was cool. Where it's like, well, it's like I can have Mario fighting Sonic and Cloud from Final Fantasy VII. Like this will never happen, and then it did.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's just kind of cool. Just a couple other quick things I wanted to touch on. Hav, what'd you think of the Ghost and Goblins Resurrection trailer?
Oh.
Not bad, but you really,
I know you've been playing it.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's actually we finished, so yeah.
Oh, we finished.
And it's Ghost and Ghouls, not Ghost and Goblins.
It's Ghosts and Ghouls.
Oh, whatever.
See, no one cares. No one cares.
Everyone gets the name wrong.
You hate the game and you defend it. It's Ghost and Ghouls.
You're right. I have no reason to defend it. I don't. I mean, it's so frustrating. That game. No, that's cool. That it's fine. It didn't really grab me the way that something else grabbed my attention. The Callisto Project. So
segue.
That is. Glenn Schofield was basically the guy that made Dead Space. Him and the what was the development team for Dead Space? They're not in business anymore. That's why I'm asking. It was because EA I think purchased it.
Visceral Games.
Yeah.
Visceral. Yeah, Visceral.
Yeah.
So like
that's it.
Dead Space so good, and now he's got this his new team, Striking something, or the Striking Distance is what it's called, the studio. It's kind of like a Dead Space, like the spiritual successor of Dead Space, which I'm so excited for because I love the original Dead Space game. But again, it's another like cinematic trailer, but still, if you bring me back a Dead Space kind of game,
that's a good horror game, like a future horror game. That's
dude,
good.
Dead Space is so great. I'd love to. You know, it's a shame that franchise didn't continue. I mean, the sequels were okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say it wasn't that big of a shame.
Yeah, the sequels were okay, but if you can bring back that old game, like the first one, and that style, and even if it's with new characters or whatever, and God, and you can call them different names. I think they were called, not Xenomorph. That's Alien. I forget what they were called. The alien race.
No, sorry.
No, Xenophobe. No, not Xenophobe.
sorry. No, Xenophobe.
I forget what they were called. But either way, you bring me back a new Dead Space style game, I would be so on board for that. And just looking at that trailer, creepy alien about a devourer. Necromorph. That's what it was. Yeah, dude, the Necromorphs were so cool. You got to shoot the limbs instead of the head, and like everyone's reactions like shoot the face, and like that didn't do anything. Bring me back that style game where it's like, and it looks like this. I think the guy was like in a prison or some sort of cell.
The developer?
No,
the game.
The trailer. The trailer.
I was like, don't let him make
the
a
developers
game.
are making this game in a prison cell. It's pretty amazing.
That's
it's impressive.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm so excited for that. I loved the original Dead Space. I'd love for that franchise to kind of come back in a big bad way, and like it doesn't need the Dead Space name, but like bring me back that style of like sci-fi in space. No one can hear you scream. I love that because the OG Dead Space game was, man, I thought it was so good. Like for that generation, like it's such a good horror game.
Yeah.
More of that, and like if it's him and his original team, totally on board.
Yeah, and I will say there's another game that's like a sci-fi, looks like a semi-horror kind of game, is Returnal, which is like a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah.
It looks pretty rad. I think it's like definitely a little more, from that. Thank goodness, a gameplay trailer. Jeez, people just need to show some gameplay, but it's the game, it looks a little more kind of shooty than the original Dead Space.
Dead Space 2.
But it looks like weird in a good way, like everything's kind of creepy, and you're not kind of basically you're this I don't know, space lady, astronaut, whatever you want to call her.
Yeah, the space lady.
She's landed on this planet. and she keeps reliving the same day, and just keeps dying, and you're trying to figure out like how to stop this loop.
Oh, that was a movie.
But you're also fighting these like.
It's been many movies.
Tom Cruise with Emily Blunt. Like he keeps dying and he fighting aliens.
Also,
and
like Groundhog Day.
Also, Bill Murray in Groundhog Day.
Groundhog Day.
Basically the same movies, right?
There's actually groundhogs in this game. No, I'm just kidding. But
Bill
there seems
Murray.
to be like you're fighting like creepy aliens and stuff. So kind of feels a little Dead Spacey in that regard. If you look at like the weird creatures she's fighting, it's like a mixture of that and
I felt more like a Metroid.
oh gosh, I'm trying to Prey, the new Prey. It kind of felt like that a little bit too. And then did I have anything else on my list here? I wanted
Back for Blood, Left 4 Dead, dude.
Yeah, I'm one of the people that I'm not into that kind of game typically. Like the original Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 I played some and I was like, yeah, this is fine, but I never got like way into it like some people did. I'm happy for the people that love that series to have another game like that. What actually really interested me was there's another game that feels really similar to Left 4 Dead. It's kind of that same style. Is the new Warhammer 40,000 Darktide game. Is like another one of those like, you get a squad of 4 people and you murder everything. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Because like I said, I'm not typically a fan of that genre, and the Back for Blood trailer, I was like, meh, this is okay. But for some reason, like the Warhammer 40,000 Darktide trailer grabbed me a lot more. For some reason, like, I don't know, I've always like thought that that specific like world is fascinating. The Warhammer 40,000 world. It's just super crazy. If you ever dive deep into like into the lore of it, it's like absolutely wild. And I don't know, that game looked pretty brutal in the trailer. But I don't know, maybe it's just me kind of like really liking that lore and wanting to see an interesting game come out of it, because I haven't had many good video games from that particular IP. But yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to sort of talk about from. Obviously there was a bunch more, but we don't have all the time in the world, so I just wanted to kind of touch on a few of those things. Does anybody have any last thoughts before we jump over to something else?
Make Mass Effect great again.
Yeah, just please
That would be
finish
nice.
the game and don't release it until you're ready.
Mega.
No one gives a shit about your stupid pre-orders.
Speaking of not releasing games before they're ready.
Ooh, thank you, Hav.
You're welcome.
Cyberpunk. Let's talk about Cyberpunk a little bit. I have a lot of thoughts. Kehan, I'll start with you. Before we do, obviously Cyberpunk is out now, released a few days ago. And, there's been some very mixed reviews. There's been... Man, you know what? I have to say, before we move to this, because, boy, did I love the trailer for It Takes Two. I just want to give a shout out to Joseph Ferris and Hazelight Studios. It Takes Two looks fantastic. I loved that trailer. The gameplay looks rad. I can't wait to play that. Now we can move on. Sorry, I just did not want to play that game.
I was trying to look for the trailer. I don't think that's the one I don't think I saw that one.
Man, it's fantastic. I loved that trailer, and I loved their last game, A Way Out. And man, and their original game, Brothers. This will be their third game that Hazelight's made, and man, I just love that team and what they do. And that, man, their new game looks so good. I can't wait to play that. Anyways, we can move on now. I just did not want to forget that.
Wait, Zach, I just want to say this. For the past like 10, 12 minutes, your connection's been like good enough for you to talk, but like every time you move your head more than like 2 inches, it just becomes like kind of compressed, and like your audio gets jarbled a little bit. But I can hear what you're saying. It's just like, I don't know if it's just me. Is it just me?
It's kind of for me too.
I see it too.
But it's manageable.
Oh.
I'm able to
Yeah.
keep up.
It's manageable, but it's just like I just want to say that for the past like 10, 15
Well,
yeah.
as long as everybody can hear me for the most part, I can continue to ramble.
Okay,
Let's talk about Cyberpunk.
But anyways, Cyberpunk, it's out now. Critics have given it like stellar reviews.
No.
And then, huh?
What is K-Hunt thing? I think that's what we.
No.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Let's keep going.
So critics have given it like stellar reviews. I think on Metacritic the user score is 6.8. I think some people love it and some people are pretty mad. But it's had like weird a weird rocky launch. But K-Hunt being a PC fanboy, I want to kind of start with you and your impressions on Cyberpunk.
All right. Yeah. So I didn't have that many like FPS problems like everyone else had. I see the drops though, just only because my laptop is pretty good. It has 2070 RTX, so it's not top line, but it's pretty good right now.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, but it does have frame drops. I am using the DLSS, I think it is, so it kind of like interprets the frame or like the pixels, so kind of just like math. It does math and it's good at it. I don't know how to explain it, but it helps the game run better while making it look like as good as it can, for performance. So like the game runs pretty well for me,
right.
But I do understand what people are talking about because there's a lot of areas where you go to combat and it drops to 50 frames or something, and usually it runs at like over 100 like smooth for me, and then it'll just drop to like 50 for no reason, and there's nothing really intense going on.
Sure.
It's just like one thing. But beyond that, there's like bugs. Like people were saying, I did experience the bugs even on PC. There was like, you go to pick up an object. I picked up an object one time and I got like 10. And I was like, that's weird. And then I tried to discard it and then I got 20 and I was like, uh-oh. And then I reloaded the game and it didn't happen again. So it was just like a weird glitch. I spawned my car and then it didn't spawn. And I was like, I can't complete the mission, so I had to restart the load. So it's like they're huge bugs. They're huge bugs.
That's not little. You gotta restart your
but
mission.
It'll happen like once every other hour. So I'll be playing for an hour and it'll be like smooth, and all of a sudden one thing will happen which causes me to like stop and like is this a bug or is this a part of the game? Like there was a part where like a generic part. There's cops in the game, or like there's police or whatever. And they they drive up to you in this one scene, and I won't say what happened, but they just drive up to you. But the way they drove up looked like they teleported because the game was so janky. They went through the wall. They're just like, "You're under arrest." And I'm like, and I was like, "What the hell?" And the frames dropped for them, but they didn't drop for me because like I'm like I have the depth of field on, so like I was in focus with the guy next to me, but they weren't. So when I looked at them, they were just like coming in the scene like that, and they just drifted and stopped their car, and I'm like, oh. So I don't know. This game does not deserve stellar reviews right now. As a game, the gameplay is not really. It's not smooth. It does not deserve. It deserves like out of 10. Yeah. It deserves like a 6.5 out of 10, maybe at best.
Yeah.
With the bugs.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I have a lot of thoughts on this game. I've probably put maybe 15 hours in at this point. So, the game could get better. But basically where I'm at with this game is, and, once, I always kind of say this at the top of the show, the show's by gamers for gamers. Because I feel like out there in the critic world, people aren't being critical of games that need to be critiqued. And, this game has a 90 Metascore from 54 different critics. And I think this game is, obviously these are all opinions, they're personal opinions. Everybody has their own opinion. So they're wrong and I'm right, but no, I'm just kidding. I look at a game like this and I'm like, And I'm not even talking about bugs. You know, I've been playing on PS5 and it's been pretty good for the most part. There's been some weird pop-ins. The game's crashed like 3 times on me.
Wait, Zach, say that again. You popped in and out when you said pop-ins for a sec. I didn't hear like. Ironically,
that's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty ironic. But no, it's like, you know, there's been like weird pop-ins, and you know the game has crashed a few times on me, but you know there hasn't been anything like a bug that's been that has broken the game other than totally crashing on me and just having to restart like a mission or something. But other than that, it's like it's been okay. But like, you know, like bugs aside, they could fix every bug in the world in that game. I think that game still has like several fundamental issues. You know, I think the driving is complete butt. Like the driving's super bad in that game, like to the point where I never want to get in a car. I just started walking everywhere because it's like I hate these cars. They're so bad. I think and you know, maybe this feels different on a PC, but I think like at least on a controller, man, I think the shooting just feels awful. And I've been trying to tweak it in the settings and it just never feels right. I'm still kind of playing with it, but man, it just doesn't feel good there. But it's also like the guns in general don't feel good to shoot. You know, and maybe, you know, obviously you get stronger and stronger as you go because it's an RPG and that's, you know, you level up or whatever. But, you know, if I'm like walking around and I have a shotgun in my hand and this happened a few times, I'll shoot a guy directly. I'm you know, I could kiss the guy. I'm so close, and I shoot him in the face with the shotgun, and it does not kill him. There is a serious problem with the gunplay in your game.
He's got that face
and I
armor.
understand, you know, I understand this is an RPG and not an FPS.
That doesn't work
but
in shooters though. I hate RPG shooters. Like, what was the Tom Clancy one? The someone help.
Tom Clancy.
I don't know.
No, but no.
Splinter Cell?
No, it's the RPG.
I mean,
Tom fucking
The Division?
You're talking about the Division.
It's like they have the same problem where you shoot someone a headshot and it's RPG, so if they're too strong, they're just like sponges. They just absorb all the bullets.
Bullets are made of rubber.
Yeah, they just like absorb all your bullets.
Yeah, so this is like very similar where it's like very spongy enemies where it's just like this doesn't feel good. So I've resorted to just punching people or like hitting them with baseball bats and stuff. Yeah. Like the strongest weapon I have found is straight up a baseball bat and a lead pipe. Yeah. I've just been running up and just hit. Yeah, I've just been hitting people with
Cyberpunk
because like no joke. I've been shooting people with the shotgun to knock them over, and while they're knocked over, I hit them with a lead pipe because that's the strongest weapon I have found to kill things. It's just like it's
so futuristic.
So, so it just you know, so there's certain things that just don't feel good, and I also like, you know, and maybe this is just me not being like a huge RPG guy, but like there's just too many like mechanics. There's too many things. Like, why do I have like 12 menus of just stuff? It's kind of annoying.
It's the same thing from Witcher 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's CD Projekt Red.
They have a thing, but that works in Witcher 3 because that game is a through and through RPG. It's not a shooter first person RPG, so it feels when you're playing an RPG or you're playing like an MMO, you expect to see menus and huge interfaces because you want that detail and like tree of like things to upgrade. But when you're playing a shooter, for some reason it looks intimidating, even for me, and I'm a fan of CD Projekt Red. When I go to the menu and I just want to upgrade or I want to like replace my gun, and there's like 6 tabs and 6 menus, and it's like the same gun is 15 times down there, but one of them has one more damage point, and I'm like, oh my god, kill me, and the game crashes, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's I've been killed.
Like, just like a little too much. It also like, you know, you can just pick up like just about everything in this game. I'm picking up like ashtrays and like, you know, random crap on a table somewhere. And so I just have like pockets full of crap. So you go to your inventory and it's like, okay, I want to look at like, you know, my stuff. And I just like, I have 1,000 things in my pockets because it's just, you know, you could just pick up everything. It's like, you don't need to put this in the game. Like, I don't need to pick up all this crap, but also, like, I pick it up because I sell it. But also, that's like it's just like a dumb feature. Like, I don't want all this crap in my pockets because eventually you hit I was in the middle of like a mission, and I picked up a couple, like a gun off the ground, and then I just had too much in my pockets, and then I was too heavy, and then I had to like take that out of my pockets, and it just like totally like ruined the flow of like, what was going on in this mission. It was just like, I don't know. And that could just be me on the RPG side, but there's also like this thing where, I would hope at this point we would get into like this, what I feel is like whatever the next generation of like games is, where it's just like, AI is a little smarter. The worlds are a little more like fleshed out and interesting. Even in these like massive like open worlds, like I just want to see whatever that next step is. And I feel like this game feels just like, Deus Ex did, 5-6 years ago when that came out. I think this game is really similar to Deus Ex. If you told me the same developers made it, and I didn't know CD Projekt Red made it, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, oh yeah, this just seems like the next game in their series. It feels so similar, other than like the more cyberpunky vibe of this game, but it's like it doesn't feel like anything new. I feel like the AI and the world act just like Skyrim did 10 years ago. Yeah. So it's just like, I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like the game is fine, but the fact that it's getting the scores that it's getting right now,
just say it. Just say it. It's not that good.
It's not that good.
It's overhyped, and I think that's what ultimately what I'm kind of getting at is I think the hype train got too large for this.
7 years development, right? I only heard about the game. Years. I heard about the game like a year ago when they did that game, the big cinematic trailer like a year ago or something.
Yeah,
I saw that trailer, and then I was like, oh, cool, a new game. But then someone told me, no, it's been in development for 7 years. I'm like, oh, it's probably gonna suck. Oops, because like Anthem. Remember, Anthem was in development for like 8 to 10 years or something crazy. Like any game that's in that long of a cycle, like Star Citizen, when that gets finally released, that's gonna be like
that game doesn't need to be released. It's just raking in millions regardless.
I know they're never gonna finish it, but yeah, it's just games.
They don't need to.
But
yeah. Sorry. Just to kind of finish up my thought. Yeah. I just I think it's just getting way too much praise. And I know everybody's entitled to their own opinions, but like reading some of the reviews from critics, like I feel like they just didn't look at this game critically. They just like were on that hype train, and regardless of the problems, we're still like, yeah, perfect score, or like, yeah, 9 out of 10 or whatever. And I just like right as it sits for me right now, it's probably like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah,
it's like right in the same wheelhouse as like the Deus Ex games for me, like the new ones. I think it's like, it's fun to kind of walk around and explore and check things out, but, you could see the seams, you could see like, all the AI is just kind of dumb and silly. All the enemies you fight are just kind of dumb and silly. The story missions are great. Like I'm having fun with the story so far. It's interesting. I really like, some of the characters you're talking to, and it like all that's pretty cool, but like everything outside of just that is like it kind of falls flat. And I wish they had just, instead of this like huge open world, if you just like narrow your scope, I think they could have just made a much better game. That's why I think games like God of War or like Uncharted, Last of Us, stuff like that, it's like their scope's a lot more narrow versus this like enormous open world, and so they can just like really focus on their vision a little more. But I don't know. This is just, like I said, it's just my opinion and thoughts on it. But I personally think it's a little overhyped, and I wish people would be a little more critical in this game.
But why was it hyped up again? Because again, I didn't hear about it till a year ago, and like all I heard was the customization, Keanu Reeves.
Because it's CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. Yeah.
Witcher 3, I guess. Oh, yeah.
It's because of Witcher 3. And so everybody's like, oh my God, this is going to be the, like, whatever the
The Witcher
the
3
meaning of like next gen
Cyberpunk or
is.
whatever, yeah.
Like this is going to be the first next gen game. That's kind of what everybody's been saying forever. It's like, and honestly, I think, kind of going back to games like God of War, I think that's like a game like God of War is phenomenal, or like The Last of Us Part 2. It's like those games, or Red Dead 2, I think is a great example where it's like that open world was like sprawling and everything just had like life just flowing through it. Anything could happen. And I mean, and that game was just gorgeous. It ran well. I mean, that
console
Rockstar
version.
it's just Rockstar just knocks it out of the park. It's absolutely insane. But, I look at a game like Red Dead 2, I'm like, this is like, man, wait till like Rockstar's next game. It's like, I can't wait to see like what that
GTA 6, they're working on it. Yeah.
Like it's going to be insane, whatever it is. Or like Red Dead 3, whatever that comes out in 25 years, like that's going to be like next gen as hell. Like whatever that next gen vibe is, that feel, like that's what I've been waiting for. It's like, let me feel like, give me that transition from like, N64 to GameCube, or like, just like, I want to feel it. I want to feel next gen, and I haven't felt it yet. I feel like we're getting the same stuff we always have been, like
that's
games that, Cyberpunk is just a better looking Skyrim in the future, in my opinion.
That's what I think. Like we don't wait long enough, because like I don't know what went wrong. Something must have went wrong, because they had, like I said, 7 years they were working on this, and I didn't hear about anything going wrong, like because I didn't really hear about the games a year ago. But like Rockstar works on their games, and it's like 8 to 10 year cycles of these long development, but then they come out for the most part pretty damn good every single time on console. At least their ports are kind of iffy, but that's whatever. But they're on console, those games come out launch day, you just play it like multiplayer or whatever, but they're open world. Their games don't usually have many bugs in it on the consoles in the beginning, and it's usually the story's great. And those are the games you bench press, or you benchmark your computers on. Like when Red Dead 2 came out, everyone was making up settings for that game. When like GTA 5 came out, and GTA 5 is still relevant. That's like what 7 years old now. Like you still use mods on it. That's old. Like how many 7-year-old games?
Game.
Yeah, and it still holds up. All these mods, like 4K upres mods, like that game, and the next game.
So impressive.
Yeah.
So impressive. It's insane. So we're running low, low on time here. I know, kind of talked about some of that for a while, but I've been playing that game, and it's like it's good. I would wait for it to drop to $20 myself, but
that's the thing. Like as soon as I heard, like it never really appealed to me from the jump. Like I was like, Right. Like I get it's called Cyberpunk, but I never felt the true like cyberpunk nature from it. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like it just wasn't that super futuristic sci-fi. Like it just seemed kind of generic sci-fi, cyberpunky. Yeah. But like when I saw it, I was like, this is a game I'm gonna wait for like 3 years, because I already know it's gonna be super buggy from the jump, and like it. Yeah. Like I had. It's not necessarily that I wasn't excited for it, but I was like, I know this is a game I'm going to have to wait for. I know it. And like now but the memes have been great. I do love the memes that have been made from this game. They're really
I have
funny.
seen some funny stuff. Yeah. But before we end the show, I wanted to kind of go around the room, since we were kind of talking about Cyberpunk a little bit. I wanted to get your thoughts on like some of your favorite open world RPGs, not The Witcher. Joe, I feel like I haven't heard from you in a minute, so let's start with you, Joe.
The one that comes to the top of my head is probably Breath of the Wild.
Oh, I was gonna say that.
Yeah, I knew
it's so good.
So I decided to take it first.
That's
the only reason why it's my favorite game, so I can take it before Hoth. No, I'm just kidding. No, that game is just great. Only because I don't play open world games at all. Like thinking about it, like rarely at all. Never was a GTA fan. Skyrim never really played, or any of the Elder Scroll games. So yeah, no, it's not really my thing at all. And then when Zelda Breath of the Wild came out, I was just like, okay, I'm a huge Zelda fan. This is like apparently nothing like the other Zeldas, so wasn't looking forward to it either. And then finally after hearing how good it was, played it, and then man, It's just
Oh man.
yeah, like it was just next level. I was like,
It's
this
so
is
good.
this is like this is like everything I wanted in a Zelda game that I didn't even realize. Yeah, which is that open world aspect. And I don't even like open world games, which was I thought was surprised even myself. So
Yeah. You know what I love so much about that game? It's so simple, but just like the climbing feature.
Yeah,
You
dude,
could just like
it's just so much better. Yeah, like,
it's like look at that tree.
Feels
I'm gonna
great.
climb that tree.
you know? It's like any other game. Like you like you try to like walk up to the climb or the mountain, but you just like you can't walk up it. But
Yeah, you look weird like you're running against it.
Yeah, and in this game you're like, I wonder if I can climb that, and you actually like it lets you climb it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty sick. Yeah, very
it's
cool.
so great.
Yeah, and because of that they had to like because of that element they had to make the world huge. You know, they had to make everything enormous, so you felt like the scaling of an actual mountain. But yeah, I love that game.
Yeah, and I love I love that game too. And you know, that's one of those games where it's like, you know, you do come across like some spongy enemies, but I feel like they kind of make sense for that world versus like
well, you're not shooting people with
something
shotguns and they're getting up.
Exactly, you know. It's like, you know, you have things like the Guardians where it's like, yeah, it makes sense. I can't just like slash this thing to death, at least not right now. I love Breath of the Wild. Have you got a different one you want to mention?
Put me on the spot. Okay, so does this necessarily?
I know you're a Fallout dude.
I was gonna say Fallout 3 because I still love Fallout 3 so much. Like, especially being that's the thing. I was gonna say Fallout 3 or New Vegas because I love the aesthetic of New Vegas.
No, choose
because it's Western, but I also love Fallout 3 just because of like leveling up, and you get to like every time you level up, you get a new perk, and so by the time you reach your max, like you're just a god, like walking in the wasteland. Like you could just survive anything. It's so much fun. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna say Fallout 3. It's so good, and the DLC is really great, really creepy. There's one I think you go to like Maryland where you're like on a boardwalk, and there are like these creepy like mutant people. They look like the Hills Have Eyes monsters. But yeah, and the stories are super fun. Like just like Fallout 3 to me, it still has one of the best openings in terms of like missions where it's like, hey, do you want to nuke this city that you just discovered, or like help these zombies in their building? Like, and or you know, and like I've done both. Like I've nuked the city and it's super fun, and like I've also not nuked the city and like you can use it to your benefit. But like that's such a strong opening mission where it's like this town has literally a nuke in the middle of it. Do you want to blow it up? Because you totally can. It'll be really cool.
And, you gotta save it, bro.
Yeah, it's so. I love that. Like I love that aspect of it. So yeah, I would say Fallout 3. I mean, this game, this question, I can have a different answer every day, but for today, Fallout 3. It's so much fun.
Nice. Kalen, you got one for us?
Yeah. My fucking Witcher 3. Yeah.
Said not The Witcher.
All right,
not The Witcher. Oh my god, yeah. Witcher 2. No, fucking. I'm trying to think. Mass Effect 2, I guess, is pretty good, but is GTA 5? That's a role playing game. That's open world. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah. Oh, maybe Red Dead. Fuck. Red Dead 2. Red Dead 2. That's a good one. That's a good one, and that's different. That's a Western game I've
Red
loved.
Dead 2 is.
I will say this about the PC version. For me, I was one of the rare people where it worked perfectly fine and it ran smoothly in the very beginning of the PC port before they updated the drivers. So when I play that game, it was smooth, 60 frames and up, like smooth with like, you know, all those textures tweaked in the settings, and like that game was looking perfect. That was my favorite game when it worked in the beginning. The story is great. All the characters great. The side characters. It's awesome. And then when you fuck with the storekeepers, I love that it has the AI. Again, intelligent AI like Cyberpunk. I don't know if I haven't really messed with the storekeepers yet because I haven't cared to. But like in Red Dead 2, when you shoot them or when you like beat them up, they remember you the next time you go to the store. So I always go to the same guy. I don't hit anyone in this town, and in this current save, I don't go to anyone in this town except for one guy. It's the meat boy. He's got all of his meat behind him out, and I just think he's disgusting. So every time I walk to this, he has
a butcher.
He's a saucy boy, dude. He's a meat boy.
Meat boy.
He's got a bunch of meat behind him. It's just hanging out there in the open.
He's a butcher.
And I'm just like, rolling up on my horse, right? I'm just like, and I see him, and I get off my horse, and I just like across the. Every time I hit him, and he always says like, "You better not, don't do it." And then I run away like a 5. Anyways, AI, it's cool. Yeah. Red Dead 2.
Nice. I'm just gonna. You guys kind of took mine with like Breath of the Wild, and I think Red Dead 2 and games like that kind of fall into that category as well. And man, I love Red Dead 2. But I'm gonna throw out just an odd one, just very quickly here. The Mad Max game that came out for PS4 and Xbox One was fantastic. I love that. I was so surprised of like how good that game was. I mean, it was freaking awesome. Like I loved exploring that world. I think like the upgrade system was great. I had this kind of like a Batman, Arkham kind of fighting mechanics to it. I thought the driving was fun. All around just fantastic game. I loved that Mad Max game. So if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's probably like $5 now. It's awesome open world RPG type game. But anyways, that is our show. That is it. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can find us at Go Multiplayered on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. Mostly Instagram these days. Trying to post some fun things over there. Hav, where can we find you?
At Jumpman_Ortiz on Instagram is where you can find me.
Very nice. I want to see those pictures of your Fire Emblem collector
Show us the pic.
edition.
Right there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it.
I want to see pictures. And then, Kehan, where can we find you?
At Damavani Designs. DAMAVANDI Designs.
Jesus. And Joe, where can we find you?
You could find me at Broke English Majors podcast.
Very nice.
At,
Still broke, nice.
Yeah, Spotify or iTunes.
Although I got to say, on your last episode, you were talking about video games. It didn't even shout out Multiplayered. So how dare you, sir? How dare you?
Wow.
Did I not?
That's right.
You didn't.
All right, I'll make sure you do it next time.
Not a single shout out. Oh my goodness. Also, you guys need to say your names at the beginning. I have no idea who your friend's name is. Say your name.
The other guy?
The other guy. Joe doesn't even know his name.
I don't even know his name either.
Say your names. I want to know your friend's name.
It's other Joe. It's like Angry Joe. It's the other Joe.
And you can find me at ZachMatzGanis. That's ZachMatzGanis on Instagram, Twitter, all that fun stuff. Mostly Instagram these days. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us this week as we talk about all the video games we like or frustrated by. Mostly me. I feel like I was frustrated on this episode. But it's because I'm cranky. It's late. Time to get off this. Go take an old man nap.
To this kid.
But thank you so much. We will talk to you all next week. And remember...
We love you.
Go with God.
We love you.
My children.
Not as much as I do.
Peace.